What's up, Radio Shade Tree Surgeon here, standing with this ode to mechanical excess. Ozymandias, my Triumph Rocket 3. Soon to be one of y'all's Rocket 3s. Well, Rocket 3s plural. Anyway, I woke up this morning with a philosophical question in my head. I was up late into the night, pondering the manner of things in the dark and asking myself, why, just why do I love motorcycles so much? And why do I love the Rocket 3 so much? There are answers to these things, and in these answers, maybe you will find some common ground with the dirty hobo swamp wizard from the Wang of America. Because isn't that what motorcycles are all about? Finding common ground with somebody who is so strange to us, so unlike us, so unwashed, unkept. Strange smells, vapors, and humors emanating from his body, yet we have something in common. The love of two-wheeled mechanical death traps. Or maybe just mechanical death traps in general. Let's go for a ride. That's right, baby. The universal language of brap. There's been a lot of kings of motorcycles over the years, and I put the crown on this particular Rocket 3 myself, but the first king of motorcycles, that always goes to the Honda CB750. When it came out, 4 cylinders on a row, 750 cc's, while it might not have been as big as a Harley Davidson, it put every other Japanese bike and definitely every other British bike out at the time's dick in the dirt, and was considered to be a gigantic engine. And I love my CB750, but god damn, there's just something so cool about feeling 3 cylinders in line underneath you, pumping up and down, and each one of them displaces as much as the entire engine in a CB750. That's about as close as I'd ever really want to get to riding a Boss Hoss. Those things just don't do it for me. Car engines and motorcycles, not really my thing. A motorcycle engine that is as big as a car engine? I'm in, baby. Motorcycle, it's in the name, man. And all you nerds out there are about to tell me that it should technically be called an engine cycle. You can go ahead and eat my shorts. There's just something about the way it's working under there. And, you know, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know exactly how everything's all working together. I got a general enough idea about how camshafts, valves, engines, crankshafts, about how it all works. And so when I twist the throttle and I can imagine it working and doing its thing down there, it just activates some little neuron in my hindbrain. Lizard brain activated. Look, the caveman is interested in this. Maybe it's some leftover evolutionary aspect that is interested in building things and machines that we won out. The ones that are interested in engineering did better. I must be a little recessive here because I'm only interested in it. I'm not good at it. But it's why the Rocket 3 speaks to me so much, with no ride-by-wire, no safety features, no ABS. This is straight up just a motorcycle. 2,300 cc's of hell yeah, brother. And I need that mechanical connection. It's why I think electric bikes are neat. They're neat. They're sort of interesting, but they don't tickle that little part of my hindbrain that gets so excited when I push a mechanical button and I imagine completing the connection and the electricity from the battery flowing into the engine, kicking it over, springing to life. Fire, air, gasoline, spark, creating fire. Fire, the life bringer, stolen from the gods. Fire, baby, fire makes this thing go. And again, I'm not just I hate everything electric. Obviously, this uses electricity to make it go. I wouldn't get the fire if I didn't have electricity. But give me that fire, baby. Makes my motor run. I want explosions, destruction, chaos. That's what makes a motorcycle speak to me. It's the motor. It's the motor that does it for me. Whatever else is wrapped around it, I mean, I like it to be cool. There's certain kinds of styles and shapes of bikes I like, but really what does it for me, it's the motor. That's why I like weird motors. I love the Rocket 3, the CB750, even though inline 4 cylinders are so common anymore. Well, actually, a little bit of a dying breed these days. And it's not just big engines that I like, although, you know, I certainly skew towards large Voyager engines. The Honda CB350, tiny little 4-cylinder inline 4, those little 250cc 4-cylinders that we never got in the States. The Honda Goldwing Flat 6, Moto Guzzis, Ducatis, BMWs. I need a little bit of quirk. I am so willing. Maybe that's what electric manufacturers are missing and modern engineers kind of aren't getting, is I am so absolutely willing, eager, in fact, to give up practicality for just a little bit of quirk, a little bit of originality, a little bit of weirdness. I want it to be a contraption, and I will ignore so many other flaws and give up so many other niceties. I mean, it's a motorcycle after all. If I wanted this to be nice, I'd be inside a car. I'm already giving up a lot just to be on a bike instead of a car, and god damn is it worth it. And I'm so willing to give up top speed and practicality and gas mileage and 100 million other things. Well, maybe not 100 million, but maybe like a good baker's dozen other things. I'm so ready, willing, and eager to give up. Just make it cool, baby. That's what Harley-Davidson's been cruising on forever. And I certainly love my Harley-Davidsons, but it ain't gotta say HD on the side for me to love it. Damn, boy. I just want a unique motor. Is that too much to ask? Everything else is secondary. I mean, almost everything else. The 2-strokes, baby. I love that. I love 2-strokes. It's so weird. The old H2s and H1s. The Suzuki GTs. Man, I love the GT550. What a cool looking engine. I wonder if those days are numbered. In the last video that I put out, which should be coming out today, the day after Super Bowl Sunday, in that last video I put out, I was just talking about the Honda Rebel 1100 and how the engine just looks like this lump of nothing. It just looks like an industrial engine that could be powering some kind of pump or something. It doesn't necessarily look like it belongs in a motorcycle. There's no style, no class, no quirkiness to it. It's just an engine. And it's fun to ride. It's got a lot of personality. I love the way it makes power. It makes an awesome sound, but goddamn, Honda, would it have been that hard to make it look cool too? Now, the Honda Rebel in general looks weird enough that I do like it, but just the end, you could have done something else with the engine. Just make me love it when I look at it, not just when I ride it. Make me love the idea of it, the entire concept, not just the numbers, not just the facts, figures, graphs, and charts. I need to be romantic about it. Come on, you gotta make me fall in love. Who the fuck ever fell in love with a spec sheet, dude? If you fall in love with a spec sheet, I don't know, man. I feel like you're missing something. You're missing some sort of romantical thing that I'm blessed or, I don't know, maybe cursed with. I won't deny it. Old Shade Tree Surgeon truly is a romantic. I fall in love about 6 or 7 times before I get out of bed in the morning. It's kind of how I got into boats. Now, well, I got into boats because of fishing, but how I got into fishing is a whole long story that has a lot to do with my childhood and a bad relationship with my father and so on and so forth. Maybe I'll do a video on that another time, but when I got into boats, I got into it all backwards because I never thought I could afford a boat, and when I found out they were cheap as hell when I bought my first one, I found out that I like the engines way more than I like the boats. And I can't be alone in that. This has proven true in at least one place that I've personally been to, and that's the Barber Motorcycle Museum. If you've never been to the Barber Motorcycle Museum, you have to go. It's the most amazing motorcycle museum in the world, but on display alongside Barber's lifelong lust. It ain't a love affair, that's lust, baby, when you got that many. Alongside every motorcycle ever made, because that's what exists there, is a huge collection of outboard motors. Not boats. You know, there's no boats there. There's not a shell. There's no hulls. Just a huge collection of outboard motors. And all those years ago, when I went to Barber for the very first time on my silly little XS650 chopper, the Palmetto Bug, when I toured there and I saw that collection of outboard motors and I saw how beautiful they were, they're just all vintage ones, antique ones, beautiful polished aluminum and designs, and just this reminiscent of an era when people just didn't sell something on a spec sheet. They made you fall in love with it. And these motors were gorgeous, and not a boat in sight, just the motors. And I felt this connection. This guy who loves motorcycles because The motor is what makes it interesting. Also had a collection of vintage outboard motors. And that's really what first piqued my interest all those years ago, and not really in boats, but in boat motors. I didn't know it at the time, but I found out later when I bought my first boat for $1,000, and I found myself way more interested in the motor than I did in anything else. But more on boats later. Right now, we're on a hell of a bike, and I ain't thinking about the water at all. I guess I'm thinking about the water a little bit, but what I'm thinking about is 2 lakes with a winding road that goes between them. If we're going to be hanging out next month, and I certainly hope we are for the Forgotten Angels camp out, when you're coming down Stearns Road over these speed bumps, please do not crank your hog. Trust me, I like to make noise with the best of them. And I don't even mind making it in the neighborhood, but we do really love having the camp out, and we've got to respect our neighbors if we're going to continue having the camp out. If we get people complaining about everybody ripping up and down this road and just revving their engines to the moon, cranking their hog all willy-nilly, then it's going to put us in a tight spot for having the Forgotten Angels camp out. So get your hog cranking out somewhere before you turn onto Stearns Road, all right? And when you turn down Little Stearns Road, 15 miles an hour, please. Once again, neighbors with kids, and these are the neighbors that are within a baseball throws distance of us. So 15 miles an hour, be respectful. We want to continue having the camp out. It's an entire weekend with family, relaxing, having a good time, and please still don't do anything crazy on a motorcycle. I don't want anyone to get hurt, but anyway, when you come between these 2 lakes onto the property, well, you ain't friends anymore. Now you're family. The family reunion, and called that for good reason. Just feels good out here. It feels real good, and anybody who's been to the camp out knows exactly what I'm talking about. I have all the details for the camp out down below, ForgottenAngelsFlorida.org. Please register because space is limited. Unfortunately, the size of this property is not expanding its borders anytime soon, so we can only fit so many people on it. This is going to be a special one. This is the 10-year anniversary of Forgotten Angels. That's 10 years of hard work from Dave and Cindy, hundreds, if not thousands of young lives that have been forever changed, have been saved, have been put on a path that saved them from homelessness, from drug addiction, from being forgotten by society. To celebrate that, I have donated my personal Rocket 3 Ozymandias to Forgotten Angels. I've donated it to the cause, and we're raffling it off. Tickets are $25 a pop. If you would like this absolutely insane motorcycle, customized by the Ride Factory, Mo Colors, and Carpenter Racing, trust me, if you know about Carpenter Racing, you know this thing rips. If you'd like a chance to win that, we're giving it away at the camp out. I wanted to donate something that meant more to me than anything else I had, a possession that meant so much to me, because it was the only thing I could think to do that could even come close to showing my gratitude for what Dave and Cindy have done for the world, but have also done for me, and what all of you have done for me. Together, we change the world. Together, we're making a difference in hundreds and thousands of lives, and will continue to do so. That's something I never thought was possible. It has changed my life irrevocably forever. I never thought that I would be a part of something that could literally change the world and affect thousands of lives, save thousands of lives. And I know a lot of you guys out there feel the same way. And we've done all that on the back of motorcycles, raffling off motorcycles. And we've done some pretty awesome ones over the years. And when it came time to celebrate 10 years of Forgotten Angels, that just made sense. Grab a ticket down below, and maybe Karma will point her finger at you and give you that white and gold speeding ticket machine back there. Unlike a cap and ball Colt, that'll get you into trouble, but it can also get you out. Hopefully I see you guys at the camp out. Let me know if you're coming down below. Jump in the Discord. I'll have a link up on the Patreon for that. And if you can't afford Patreon, that is 100% okay. Send me an email and I'll send you a link to the Discord. I just have the Patreon up there because, well, it helps pay for stuff that we do for Forgotten Angels. If you guys didn't know, we use the Patreon to fix up motorcycles and buy motorcycles that we give away for Forgotten Angels. Through Patreon and buying bikes, we have donated dozens of motorcycles to Forgotten Angels, fixed them up, and made them available to raffle off. We talk about it in the Discord all the time. I just have the Patreon up there, so there's at least one step from just jumping in there and people just doing nothing but promoting their own channels, which we actually encourage. You are encouraged to promote your channel in there. We do a lot of networking on YouTube. Anyway, if you can't afford Patreon, I don't want that to keep you from joining the Discord and being able to talk to people and network and meet up
so you can ride down here together. So if you can't afford Patreon, that is a-okay. Send me an email. I'll send you a link for it. And even if you pay $1, my Patreon is $1. If you pay $1 for 1 month and then cancel it immediately, you get the Discord link, but also you can get it for free. Anyway, I'm bad at business. I'm in no danger of becoming rich anytime soon, but I am rich with friends. Now let's go check out some other weird mechanical death traps. And now, introducing the Tower of Power. This is a named weapon. Let me actually walk back here and stand next to this thing so you can see how massive it is. This thing is an absolute unit. A 1500cc inline 6-cylinder 2-stroke. But before we go into the history on this legendary motor, we gotta build a boat stand to hold it up because the one that I knocked together ain't gonna cut it. What's up, Rito? Shade Tree Surgeon here, and we're gonna keep this one short and sweet. Today, I'm gonna attempt to build a heavy-duty boat motor stand. If you guys been keeping up with the channel, you know I previously built my own motor stand out of wood back there, painted by the lovely Miss Chloe Cox. And while I learned a lot building that motor stand over there, what I mostly learned is if you're going to rate my carpentry skills, a charitable rating would be enthusiastic. I had thought that was gonna be a heavy-duty engine stand. The 40 horsepower motor on it is probably about as big as I would want to go. I think that if I tried to put anything more than 200 pounds on that stand, it would probably fail. Hey, no big deal. I'll just buy a boat motor stand. After all, it cost me $200 to build that. And in my head, I didn't think there was any way a boat motor stand could cost more than a couple $100. Oh my God! Well, I was wrong. A boat motor stand costs more than my boat. Of course, I'm not exactly buying pleasure yachts over here, but there's no freaking way I'm paying $1,000 for a motor stand. Enter the People's Republic of Harbor Freight. I haven't seen anybody else do this, but I think with a little bit of modification, we can make the Harbor Freight 2,000-pound engine stand, which costs $200, work perfectly as a large outboard motor service stand. I don't see why you have to pay $1,000 for something that, honestly, if I am right, is not going to be anywhere near as good as this. And while I probably put $200 in the thumbnail, let's be real here, there's always some hidden costs. It comes with little wheels that are suitable for rolling around a big Chevy V8 on a concrete floor in your shop, but it's not going to be rolling across the grass to your boat to put the motor back on it. So I bought 4 pneumatic wheels on casters, also from the People's Republic of Harbor Freight, and they ran me about 18 bucks a piece. That and a bag of shrapnel from Ace for my hardware that ran me about 60 bucks, and a 12-pack of Modelo for the job. Short and sweet is what I said. Let's jump into it and see if we can make this work, and it's something that you can replicate at home if you also don't want to pay $1,000 for an outboard motor stand. Unsurprisingly, as with most everything from Harbor Freight, some assembly required. I'm not going to bore you guys with instructions on how to assemble an engine stand. I'm sure it comes with passable Chinglish instructions that most everyone, if you're cheap ass like me, you'll be able to follow them because you're used to those being your instructions anyway. Obviously, these big rubber casters are going to be way too large for the holes drilled for the old ones, but we're just going to use a block of wood in between here and there to make ourselves a platform big enough for this and give us some height too. This block of wood plus these 10-inch wheels, which I got big ones on purpose, should give us enough height to make this tall enough to fit an outboard. All right, just had to take a little break there because I was lying to myself. I was lying to myself and saying I was using wood because I thought it'd make it more accessible for everybody, but I was using wood because I was being lazy. Went back to Home Depot, got some 1/4-inch thick plate steel, and we're just gonna zip off these old ones with a grinder and weld on some new plates that actually fit my pneumatic wheels. It'll take a little bit longer, but ultimately it'll make a way better, way stronger product, and I just need to not be lazy. So I'll go ahead and say there's a lot of reasons that you shouldn't operate machinery with a buzz. There's safety concerns, of course, but in this case, it wasn't so much the safety as it was just me being absolutely incredulous that I wasn't able to use my cheap Ryobi chop saw to cut through 1/4-inch plate steel. In sober hindsight, I should have realized this a lot earlier, but I just I could not comprehend it. I just really couldn't understand that I wasn't able to get through this. And looking back through this footage and just watching my brain slowly, drunkenly cogitate the fact that I'm chopping and grinding and trying to push harder and just over and over again, just trying to get through this. And it's just so obviously not happening. And when it finally gets through to me, I think I took like a good solid, I'm going to go ahead and speed this up, by the way, but I took a good solid like minute and a half of just existentially staring at it and flipping it back and forth before I finally just threw it to the ground and was like, wow, I'm really done. There was no way I was ever going to get through this with this tool. Anyway, it's always good to be able to laugh at yourself, and I'm glad that I'm able to laugh at myself because I don't want to think about what the alternative would be. Good morning. I'm not sure where or in what video this is going in, but I had to go ahead and take a break this morning. Well, I mean, take a break this morning after giving up last night. Well, not giving up completely, but you know what I mean. I had to step away because I actually think that it's pretty useful and I haven't seen anybody else do it. Now, that's not because I wanted to make 1 million views. I don't think it'll do a ton of views, but I think that the people that it can help out and the people it can help save money, it'll help save them a lot of money. It's not the general audience. It's probably not you who's watching this right now, but I know there's someone out there who will benefit from it, and I like putting things back into the knowledge stream of YouTube. But frustration led to frustration. I started out with wood, decided I'd do the right thing and use steel, and then I either severely underestimated how thick 1/4-inch plate was or severely overestimated the power of my Ryobi chop saw over there because that wasn't happening. That's after coming home from Harbor Freight with the wrong item that they loaded up. Technically their fault, though I definitely should have noticed. And in that same day, 2 separate trips up to Ace for hardware, and then realizing I had wasted an entire day trying to build a cheap boat stand while my Honda chopper's sitting right behind me waiting to get worked on. Anyway, it was frustrating. So, you know, I'm not gonna work on the boat stand, I'm not gonna work on the chopper, I'm just stepping away from it all right now, and I'm gonna go fishing instead. Definitely taking it a little bit easier today. The idea is peace, calmness, serenity. It's a man-made lake, so I try not to get too excited about it, but it's still gorgeous, and everything around it just looks like a painting of what I think of Florida is in my mind. This guy thinks he's slick. I see you, dude. The ghillie suit ain't working on me, buddy. I'm back, and we're officially in day 3 of what was supposed to be a 2-hour-long project. Now on my 3rd iteration of how I'm going to attach these big wheels to my heavy-duty boat stand. So we now have 1/8 inch already cut to the size I need. I just got to drill the holes, and hopefully my drill press can handle drilling through 1/8 inch plate steel. Anyway, let's draw some templates on these guys, and 3rd time's a charm, right? All right, let's go see if my holes still line up. We're still looking good. Now let's see if my Chinesium drill bit can stand up to drilling a few more holes. Oh, I've learned my well, I don't know if I learned my lesson, but I made sure that they all fit on before I started cutting this thing apart, because I've at least learned my lesson enough to know that before I weld anything on, I should make sure that the holes line up. Now, let's go ahead and ruin my engine stand. Always feels a little weird cutting into something I literally just paid for, but here goes nothing. There we go. Not quite yet. There we go. And as always, this is why you have 2 grinders. You know, not that anybody needs any reminding after seeing my weld, but I am not a welder. I just happen to own a welding machine. All right, now let's see if it see if it all goes together. Oh gosh, like my grandpa always said, if you can't tie a knot, tie a lot. I apply the same thing to welding. Whoops! Well, if the welds hold after dropping it on the ground, I guess it's gonna be all right. I'm gonna go ahead and hit these boys with a little bit of grease now, because it's likely the only grease that they'll ever see in their whole lifetime of service. Good on Harbor Freight for actually making them greasable though. Not what you would expect from the People's Republic of Harbor Freight. Well, that was a whole lot of work, but it usually is with me. Now, I know this thing says Mariner on the side, but I promise you, it's a Mercury. Mercury sold their engines in the 70s and 80s, and I think even into the 90s a little bit, under the Mercury name and the Mariner name. This engine right here, the Tower of Power, the inline 6-cylinder Mercury, is what made Mercury famous. In the 1950s, when outboards first started to gain popularity, they were generally seen as kind of like unreliable, not very powerful. They just really couldn't do much, and most of the outboards out there were only making like 9 or 10 horsepower anyway, basically just putting around little John boats. Well, Mercury changed all of that, and they changed it with this engine, or at least the first variant of this engine, an inline 6-cylinder engine that produced crazy power that someone could put on the back of their boat and pull skiers and basically do everything that an inboard boat would do at way less of a price. Now, there were still a lot of people who didn't believe that these outboards were reliable because they were just thinking of ones that weren't this one. So they put all that to rest by literally taking 2 of these engines on 2 separate boats and running them non-stop for close to 30 days. And when I say non-stop, I mean non-stop. They were fueling them up while the boats were moving, switching out drivers while the boats were moving. They took these engines around a lake, the equivalent to twice around the world.
No fair weather journey. They would be running night and day. The test was on, and these the engineers and test drivers who were out to show that after 52 years, the outboard had come of age. The relief driver hopped aboard the endurance boat. This gravity feed procedure kept refueling time down to a minimum. The drivers worked 4 hours on and 8 hours off. United States Auto Club officials worked round the clock on 8-hour shifts in the timer's booth. Try this lying flat on the bow of a boat someday. Days later, and with the engines in pieces, McDonnell gave the traditional sign of approval. They're okay. They meet stock production specifications.
Go watch the documentary if you haven't seen it. It's super freaking cool. Great slice of history, and makes me that much more excited about this power plant. It's just as sitting on top of so much history. It's such a cool, unique design. An inline 6-cylinder 2-stroke. It's something that I would have never even thought existed before I learned a little bit more about boat motors. I just think it's so freaking neat. And once again, I bought this boat motor as a non-running unit. So let's see if I can beat out my meager carpentry skills, my almost non-existent welding skills, and apply what little skill I have in making outboard runs, and see if we can't make the old inline 6 Tower of Power Excalibur make a few ring-a-dings. Whew. Well, it's not the easiest thing to push in the world, but it do push. Oh my God, dude. I'm probably gonna have to weld at least one set of these wheels straight. All right, stay. It's Modelo time. We've got our motor, we've got a battery, we've got the old heartbreaker here just in time for Valentine's Day. We have our Marvelo's mysterious magical mystery oil, because what's Valentine's Day without a little bit of lube, baby? And of course, if the heartbreaker gives us bad news, we got a couple Modelos on deck to drink our sorrows away. Everything we need to test an outboard. Let's take a look underneath this thing's skirt and see what we're working with. Oh, The beef, baby, the beef. This is 6 cylinders of all-American muscle right here, boys. Now let's see if it's got any squeeze or if I'm getting a little premature with my excitement in here. As I said, I picked it up for almost nothing. People just give these things away. Crazy to me because I think it's such a cool engine. I think it's so neat and they make so much power because don't forget, as I told you guys in a different video, these things are rated at the prop. 90 horsepower on this motor is 100 plus horsepower on any other similar outboard. That's how Mercury's and also Mariner's got the rep in the 70s and 80s of having just a little bit more hair on their chest than everybody else. I mean, I get it. Everybody wants a fancy, boring 4-stroke these days, but come on, man. Who doesn't love a motor with a little bit of character? Let's see how much character we're working with here. Whew, I don't know how I'm gonna get at that bottom one. I mean, I can get it out of there. I don't know how I'm gonna get my compression gauge in it. So far, all the spark plugs look good, and they all came out easy. We slid into first base, and everything seems good so far, though. Although I might have to get a step ladder to work on this thing. Reminds me of Blissful Ellie. Now, normally I'd see what the compression was before taking extra measures, but we're gonna go ahead and lube this old girl up before we check the compression because it's been sitting for a while, and the motor is from the 1980s. I don't know how long it's been sitting. It doesn't look like it's been used very much. It was definitely a freshwater motor. There's not a spot of corrosion on it. I don't want to take any chances with those rings, so we're gonna go ahead and Astro Glide her up just to be on the safe side. A little bit of lube never hurt anybody, did it? I mean, that's the whole point. Use the lube so you don't get hurt, right? Right. I'm just really gonna frickin' be generous with this stuff. I won't regret putting too much in there. All it's gonna do is make a little bit of a mess. Maybe I'll turn it to the side a little bit so it doesn't spray it all over Chloe Cox's car. Probably the nice thing to do. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm already being pretty generous with this thing because I don't even know if it cranks over or not yet. I'm really getting ahead of myself. I have had some really, really good luck with outboards, so fingers crossed that luck holds. Oh, actually, before I crank it, go ahead and get rid of these cobwebs from around the carburetors. I don't want to suck those in there. They ain't gonna help nobody. And the way the cowl looks and what I'm seeing in here, gotta imagine this thing probably spent a fair amount of time lying on its side in the dirt getting mowed around by somebody who was letting weeds grow around it, because I'm just seeing dirt that has no reason to be in here. And I've picked up enough orphaned outboards at this point to know that that's usually what people do with them. They put a new outboard on their boat for whatever reason, and the other one just gets laid on its side next to the garden shed. Just turn it into another lawn ornament until I come around. Much the same thing happens to motorcycles. All right, I'm no longer in any danger of sucking any arachnids in this thing. Moment of truth. Does it turn over? First base is a go, boys. Whew, and fast too. Glad I moved it away from Chloe Cox's car. It would have sprayed mystery oil all over the windows. We've hit first base and things are feeling nice and pliable. On to second base, y'all. Valentine's Day turning out good so far. Let's push our luck. Jesus Christ, that sun can fuck right off. Cylinder number 1. 100 pounds, baby. Ooh, now that's a difference I don't really like, but this thing hasn't run in a while, so I'll go back and check number 1 again. But number 2, we got 120, and that's a variance that I'm not happy with, but let's finish checking them out and see what else we got. 115 on cylinder number 3. Cylinder number 4, we're getting closer to third base. 118, she's ready, but is she willing? And number 5. 118. And if we can only get it in the final hole. Definitely, I'm gonna need to get my Blissful Ellie step stool. I'll be right back. Ooh, is this what it feels like up here? Huh, this one's gonna be a bear. I think we can get it in though. I'm gonna need a taller step stool. Okay, that's more like it. I got the ladder. Now let's see if we can get a treat out of the snack machine. Come on, bastard. I'll only get my other compression tester. She don't like this one. Okay, I'm back. This one's a little easier to finagle in here, and honestly, I wanted to retest this with a different compression tester anyway and see if I got a different story on the top cylinder. Come on, you son of a bitch. One more tool. All right, you know she's a freak if she makes you bust out a thing longer to get into third base. Dude, I got the ladder, I got the thing longer. I don't even know if I'm gonna score. This is already a whole ass thing. Is she worth all the trouble, or is she a tease? Only one way to find out. Let's keep on digging. That did the trick. Bitches love the thing longer. Cylinder number 6. Where are we at? 120, baby. Now, if you noticed something dripping up there, we're right at third base and shooting for home. We can tell she's ready. I put a little bit more of the Marvelous Mystery Lube up there to see if we can't persuade her to play ball. Come on, darling. I swear I'll love you to the end of time. By the way, I don't try this out before I make the videos. This might still fail. I really don't know. 20 pounds of difference is enough to mean something. It's not good. I really don't want to have to put rings in this thing, but if we have to, we will. Knocking on heaven's door.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Maybe 150. 150, baby, 150. I bet you say that to all the boys. Now, just to make sure we're not crazy, let's see if we can repeat that feat on the rest of the cylinders. 150. It's always the shy ones, isn't it? And I will tell you, we're sliding right into third base. Everything looks good, and I already saw a spark jumping off this into the block. I think that a home run is very likely at this point. 148. Let your freak flag fly. 150. 145. Even though we already tested it with this compression tester, I want to do it one last time just to make sure. At this point, this girl's ready to go, but we're going to go ahead and do this last cylinder and really get consent anyway. Come on, give me some green flags here. And 140, but I'll take it. That's close enough to yes for rock and roll. The sun's going down and I can see paradise by the dashboard lights. So these plugs back in and see what we got. Note to self, 6th spark plug in first. Come on. I'm gonna do this one by sense of smell. There we go. If you're trying to do something by feel like that and can't actually see what you're doing, for me anyway, it always helps to close my eyes. It makes it easier for some reason. I'm running out of daylight fast. If this thing doesn't fire right up, I'm not really gonna have time to mess with it. We're gonna have to wait till tomorrow to score. Fingers crossed, baby. I'll love you till the end of time. Come on now. Hey, that's a good sound. Things are looking up. God, it's too dark. I can't find the choke. That's what we're looking for. Hey, hey, whoa, don't knock over now. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me Reba McEntire. We got ourselves a runner.
What happens if I kick that piece of wood?
Fuck around and find out. Speaking of large, weird engines, look at who's back.
Nobody wants to see Shady no more. They want I'm chopped liver.
In the pantheon of Brapstar bikes, if the Rocket 3 is Zeus, that definitely makes the FXR Ares. .200 cc's of V-twin. That feels good. And we have the official seal of the Ride Factory, Adeptus Mechanicus here. The Purity Seal, baby, although I don't think it's to keep the chaos out. It's to keep the chaos contained. Yeah, this thing moves all right. The Vomit Comet Ride rises. And this bike is fast as hell, don't get me wrong. It's not as fast as the Rocket 3, but it makes power in such a way that never fails to leave a smile on my face. Oh, I love this motorcycle. I like bike, man. I don't care if it says Triumph, Harley Davidson, and to be totally honest with you, I don't care if it says Fang Dong Chang Shen on the side either. If I like the way it makes me feel when I twist the throttle, that's about all that matters to me.
All right, team, now that I've got a little more sunlight and a little less Modelo inside me, let's try this again, see if we can get to run a little bit longer and also see if we got any squirt coming out of it. Okay, I've read on these that on this control right here, pushing in on the key is actually the same as giving it a prime. It is, because I see starting to leak out the carbs now that I've hit that a couple times. Cool, it's good to know. I mean, now that I have gasoline all on the inside of it. Cool, that does work. All right, let's put some water to it. That's what we wanted to see. Definitely a fuel pump issue. Or a fuel delivery issue. The carbs have not been running in a while. Anyway, that's enough messing around with this thing for now. I know she runs. I know she squirts. I'm a happy camper. I think I got a pretty damn good deal on this. So what's next for the Tower of Power? I'm not really sure. I mean, I know I've got a few more things to do to it. Even though it's squirting, I know from experience that it doesn't matter. You should still put a new impeller in it. So I'm still gonna rebuild the water pump on it, throw a new thermostat in there, change the lower end oil, clean the carbs, spark plugs, just basically do all the maintenance that you should do to an engine that's basically unknown besides the fact that it does run. Something else I'm gonna do is go through and either spray silicone on a lot of electronics or just kind of underneath these little rubber boots here with dielectric grease. I got this tip from Joe the Mountain Jedi. Surprising no one, he's also an absolute wizard when it comes to outboard motors, and he's had a few of these Tower of Powers. He says what you got to really look out for in these things is the creeping green fuzz that goes through all the wires here, which happens when people don't seal these things properly and are using them in salt water. Now, I got really lucky. This is a freshwater engine, or it must be freshwater because literally the anodes on it don't have a speck of corrosion on them, and all the wiring looks literally brand new. It's even funnier because from what I understand, Mercury started branding some of their engines as Mariner because they were mostly known for freshwater motors. People were using them on lakes, people were using them to tow skis, and when it came to breaking into the saltwater market, they felt like they needed to have something that kind of separated it from the Mercury that was known to be on freshwater. But it's literally the same engines, nothing's different whatsoever, and all the old engines from the 60s, 70s, and 80s had the same problem where you could really get a lot of creeping corrosion in these wires from salt water, but modern engines have that problem too. We're just gonna take a few steps to mitigate that. Then after that, I really don't know. It's kind of like every time I do all the work to get a girl interested in me, and then once she's paying attention to me, then I just don't know what to do with it. What can I say? I love the chase. Now that this is running, let's go chase something else. I really am a lucky bastard. I'll never deny that one. I'm a fortunate dude. I have more than most people have. I'm not saying I'm rich, because I'm not, and at the end of the month, I'm still stressing about bills and eating ramen, but that's mostly due to my own damn fool actions, not anybody else's. So I still count myself very fortunate. I'm surrounded by amazing people, amazing friends. I have all of you guys in my life where I get to create the kind of thing I love creating, and amazing people out there who support that and cheer me on, and we all get together and we help out Forgotten Angels, and we we work to change the world while also still maintaining our dirty, greasy hobo swamp wizard status. All in all, I count myself very fortunate, and there's a lot of people who aren't fortunate, and those are the people we're aiming to help. I got a lot of cool stuff. I got my FXR, Vomit Comet Rising. I've got the Dirtster ODB, the Bangkok Bagger, my Goldwing, of course, my Honda Chopper. I have nice things. Now, I generally considered the Rocket 3 to be the nicest thing that I had, but it feels pretty crazy to have so many nice things and then look at what Dave and Cindy have done and what all you guys have done for supporting Forgotten Angels and not be willing to give this thing up when I have so much. Now, I know there's a lot of people out here who watch the channel who want to help, and by all means, you can grab a raffle ticket down below for the Rocket 3. But if you are in a situation where you can't, I don't want the fact that I'm sitting here going like, hey, look at what I'm doing, donating something that means so much to me. I don't want that to make you say, well, I have to donate something. I have to dig deep and also do that, especially if you don't have the means to do so. It's gonna hurt to lose the Rocket 3, but a donation that means a lot should hurt a little bit, but I can do it. I have other motorcycles. I have the means, if I really wanted to eventually one day replace that if I so chose. I couldn't replace it right away, but if I saved my money, I could absolutely replace that motorcycle. I just want that to be super, super clear, because I don't want anybody to watch this video and go, I have to spend my last dollar to support Forgotten Angels. If all you have is a few $100s in your checking account, you should not be buying a raffle ticket to support Forgotten Angels. You should be focusing on yourself. There's 100 other things that you can do to support Forgotten Angels, including sharing this video, or maybe you don't like me and you want to help anyway. You can just tell somebody about Forgotten Angels. You don't even have to share my video talking about it. There are plenty of ways to help that don't involve donating a motorcycle or donating money through one of the raffles. And if you can't afford to do so, I beg you, please do not do it. It literally keeps me up at night thinking that people are spending money they can't really afford to spend in order to help somebody else. You need to help yourself if that's the position that you're in. Now, that being said, the raffle link is down below if you can afford it. Thanks for sticking around to another video that's absolutely all over the place, which is my very favorite video to make. And once again, I'm a lucky bastard in so much that I get to make whatever I want to make, and there's a bunch of weirdos out there who still stick around all the way to the end. Make sure you're subscribed, leave the video a like, it sure means a lot to me. Until next time, y'all, keep it weird.
Crashing through the sky comes a fearful cry. Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Armies of the night, evil taking flight. Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Panic spreading far and wide. Can the world oppose the deadliest of foes? Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Who will risk it all to end the evil call of Shade Tree, army. Shade Tree, army. They never give up, they never say die, walking tall with banners high. Shade Tree Army, a ruthless gang of scum, villains, freaks, and bikers determined to rule the world.